Now that dozens of Starbucks stores across the country are organizing to unionize, I'm going to go over some of the tactics that Starbucks Corporation has used to try to bust the union effort in New York, which occurred. And out of the 6 stores that tried to unionize, 2 of them were successful, which has caused this wave of dozens of stores moving to unionize. Alright, so this story comes from TheGuardian.com, written by Michael Senato. Will Westlake, a Starbucks barista in Hamburg, New York, whose store recently filed for a union election, was told by a manager he could attend an earlier mandatory anti-union meeting on the 8th of November because he was scheduled to work the next day. Now notice how it was a mandatory meeting. Alright, the meeting was in a nearby hotel, and when Westlake arrived, he found out he was the only worker in attendance, with 6 members of Starbucks management. The meeting lasted for about 1 hour. Westlake's experience is just one part of the aggressive anti-union campaign run by the giant coffee chain, as 6 Starbucks stores in the Buffalo, New York area have filed for union elections with the National Labor Relations Board. That was basically how my last anti-union meeting was. Totally separated from the rest of my co-workers and having to be surrounded, said Westlake. They started off by going around and saying that they wanted me to vote no for the union. And then they went back and forth talking about how great all the benefits are at Starbucks, and if we vote in a union, we might not have any of those benefits. So that's like it's clear coercion that they're trying to do to stop people from voting to unionize. The company has sent more managers here to Buffalo than workers voting in the first 3 elections. There's no way it can be viewed as anything other than an attempt to spy on partners and intimidate them. Now, partners is the name that they use for employees. They call their employees partners, said Brian Murray, a Starbucks barista in Lancaster, New York. Murray added, "Every day we're forced to deal with new managers we've never met, and it's draining to have to go through constant anti-union meetings, text messages, and managers trying to pry into our lives. It shouldn't be acceptable for them to treat anyone like this, especially during the lead-up to an election that should be free and fair." The former Starbucks CEO and billionaire Howard Schultz visited Buffalo to present a case against unionizing to workers on the 6th of November, and incited criticism for making an analogy to the Holocaust in discussing the company's mission. Now, that's pretty despicable if you ask me. I'll have to look more into his reference to the Holocaust there. I think I'll do that in another video. Starbucks Workers United filed an unfair labor practice charge with the NLRB on the 4th of November over Starbucks' conduct during the union campaign, which included Starbucks shutting down 2 stores that are holding union elections and transferring workers to disrupt voting units. As soon as the baristas publicly announced they wanted to have a union, corporate executives swarmed into the stores to try to stop them with threats, promises, store closings, and overwhelming pressure, said Richard Benzinger, an organizer with Starbucks Workers United. It's been really stressful, especially when there have been times when they come into a group of 4 or 5 of them to talk to every single person on the floor. It's 10 a.m., peak coffee time, and we're trying to keep up business while they're trying to do one-on-one meetings with people to gauge what's going on with them, and that's been frustrating, said Angel Krempa, a shift supervisor at the Starbucks location in Depew, New York, just outside Buffalo. Krempa's is one of the 3 stores that filed for a union election with the NLRB this month, joining 3 other nearby stores that may have begun their mail-in ballot elections. Now, this article is from November, so when they say this month, they mean November 2021. It's really just a spying technique, and it's made most of our baristas really uncomfortable because it feels like instead of a helping hand, it's more of an eye in the sky right in front of you, and they're waiting for you to mess something up, said Krempa. We're here just to bring back the accountability that Starbucks says they're trying to give to us and make sure that Starbucks is the good company that they say they are. And this is how we feel when we make sure that happens. Starbucks needs to allow partners to continue to fight for themselves and the company because that's all we're trying to do. So those are my excerpts from the article, which I'm going to link in the description of this video. And all I can say is that, these are serious union busting efforts, and what Starbucks is doing is it could be considered to be illegal. And so now that all these other stores are voting to unionize, we can expect Starbucks to use similar tactics to try to dissuade workers from unionizing in this unionizing effort. It's going to be a lot more difficult for Starbucks to do this, considering that now dozens of stores are moving to unionize. But this kind of pressure from Starbucks Corporation is really it's really a roadblock to having a free and fair unionization election.